Well, looks like the clouds have parted and the sun is out, and we're ready for a postseason run and to play our best basketball when it means the most here in March.
You got a lot of trust in your staff and players. I assume you're prepared for the short preps and everything. And then on the flip side of that, how tough do you think personnel-wise, scheme-wise, you guys are to prepare for in 24 hours, 48 hours?
I do think the way our roster is constructed, that we're challenged to match up in a short turn. But Purdue and Rutgers, you got to figure there's whatever Vegas would say, you probably have at least an 80% chance of facing one of those teams. We played both of them twice, and we played both of them recently. So we'll be very, very familiar. Us securing the double bye is obviously a positive on numerous fronts. First and foremost, we had our compact schedule at the end of the year where we really didn't have a chance to practice. We didn't have it's just there was a lot of games in a short period of time. Everyone had one. I'm not complaining about it, but we had ours at the end. And so now, if we didn't secure the double bye, we wouldn't have this day to kind of regroup and self-evaluate and reflect. Where now we do. So hopefully, this will give us a chance to identify some things that we need to tweak, fix, or whatnot, and keep it moving.
Yeah, Dusty, you haven't been one to, if the ball goes in, good. If not, that is what it is. Trey didn't play the final 13 minutes yesterday, approximately. I imagine it's not probably just because he was missing shots. I wonder, what was it why didn't he see the court late? And the bigger picture with Trey, 6 out of the last 7 games, he's been like 10 or fewer, turnovers up, assists down, not shooting it as well.
Well, just the final. Someone said 12 earlier. Okay, 12:40. I'll address that first. We went with a lineup, and that lineup went on a 14-0 run, and showed a spark. Each team has flaws, and when you're constructing a team, sometimes you don't know what your flaws are going to be, and sometimes you're very well aware, and you think you can overcome those flaws. We don't have a great ability to get in the paint individually, get a piece of the paint, create offense. You saw the dump down for Vlad, and this makes it even more impressive what Vlad's been able to do, that he doesn't receive very many of those dump downs or lob passes where he just has to catch and finish it. And LJ was able to get in the paint, and as I'm watching the film last night, I'm thinking, man, I wish we could have gotten him more minutes earlier in the year. But then you think about it, and you're like, okay, you're 6-0 or you're 12-2, and you're in a one possession game in the conference championships on the line, and you're in a position you probably didn't think you'd be in. Do we really try to win this game, or do we think, hey, maybe in March we'll be playing better if we give these 2 or 3 guys more minutes? And so we chose to try to win that game on that night, to stay in the fight, to stay in the hunt. And so he hasn't played the heightened minutes that he's getting now, and so this will help him. It's every decision we make is a gamble, is a risk, and we chose to ride the veterans when we were in those situations. So looking back, I wish we would have had a bigger margin, and we could have played more guys and got them more experience in Big Ten games, but we weren't able to do that. So LJ was able to get in the paint, and we rode that group, and then the last 4 minutes, I wanted to look at Fat and those guys, and give LJ just more opportunity, more reps, more possession. So we need Trey to play like Trey if we're going to be at our best. When you look at our most productive games, UCLA, the first half at Indiana, it's when Trey was running our team at a high level, and the shots, they're going to fall. I mean, but I just told someone in the office, if you would have said, hey, Dusty, in 20 games from now, you guys are going to shoot 30% from 3, I'd be saying that, what is today? March 10th? I'd say I'm probably on an airplane on March 10 to go recruiting, that we probably didn't make the Big Ten tournament. I mean, in full transparency, I wouldn't think we'd be 14-6. I'd think we'd be 6-14 if you told me we're going to shoot 30% from 3 over the course of a Big Ten season. So we have guys that are going to make shots without a doubt. In my mind, I'm obviously a very optimistic person that believes in our guys, but I thought yesterday there were probably 8 or 10 shots that, from my angle and my view, I thought they were going in, and they rimmed in or out. They hit the back of the rim. And then I start, just thinking about it at a deeper level. Is it because we're playing behind? Is our starts causing us to play a little, just a little bit tighter because we're playing from behind? Or is it just that point of the season where the shots just aren't dropping, your legs are a little tight, whatever the case. So there's a million reasons why those things happen. But the last 2 days in practice leading up to Michigan State, we shot the ball like we did earlier in the season, and I felt like other than one or two of our threes, we generated really good looks against Michigan State. And so you got to believe that if you keep doing that, then they're going to drop, especially with a little bit of a break here now and hopefully some renewed confidence going into the new season.
James, does have two. When you've coached and been on staffs of teams that have had success in the postseason, I guess from your experience, is there a common trait or quality that those teams seem to share?
Well, you guys asked a question the other day. I can't remember who it might have been you, and asked if we'd ever been a part of something like this. And someone on our staff said, yeah, when we made the Elite Eight at Florida, we lost 3 games in February late, 3 consecutive games in February late. So I didn't remember that because, like everything else, I don't remember. I didn't even realize until a little bit ago that we had a 5 or 6 game winning streak in between this last. I didn't realize that because that's not whether we're playing Purdue, USC, Rutgers, or ourselves. That's where my attention's going to. Not, oh wow, that's 3 games in a row. Has this ever happened before? How do we counter? It's how do we get our guys back believing the way we believed before, and how we're playing with the same edge and confidence that we played with for a majority of the season, and also not taking in. Also taking into consideration who we were playing, which I think the last 3 games, in my opinion, might be the 3 most talented rosters in our league. If they're not the most, they're up there. I mean, UCLA's obviously got an extremely talented roster. There's some other groups that, have great depth and size, athleticism, good players, well coached, and so I definitely think it's a bad time not to make shots and turn it over when you're playing the quality opponents that we were playing.
And then you have several players on this team that have had posting success at other schools like Danny Vlad, Trey, and Amari. I guess how much does that matter this time of year? Where does that maybe shine through the most?
I mean, I definitely think it matters, but and this is just my opinion once again, but I think what matters is we've been playing in heightened games for the last month where every possession is big. There's championship ramifications on the line. We're in the driver's seat. And so it feels like we've been playing one-and-done games for a while now. Up until yesterday, it felt like every game was a one-and-done game. And so hopefully because of that experience and that familiarity, but when you get into a win-or-go-home setting, I think it comes down to matchups and health and things like that. But the matchup piece is big. What if you go against a team that their strengths are your weaknesses, then you're going to be in a dogfight.
Obviously, every game hasn't been like yesterday's when you got Danny and Vlad as the big scores and not much else. But in general, how important do you feel it is to get a consistent third score?
I mean, I think I'd be stating the obvious that we when we've been good, we've had that. And when we haven't been at our best, we haven't had that. Vlad's getting a lot of attention, and we've got to do a better job of leveraging that attention to create closeouts and open shots for the other guys. That's on all of us.
And then kind of personally, how are you feeling this time of year? Are you excited?
I'm terribly excited. Me personally, yeah, I'm extremely excited. Like I said, today is a good day. We don't know who we're going to play. I mean, obviously, we're going to prepare for all 3 teams, and we're going to, I don't want to say fully prepare for all 3, but we're going to look at the things we struggled against all 3 and realize we may see these scenarios again. So we'll tailor that into our practice tomorrow. But when you reflect and you see how poorly we've shot it and how well we've defended at times when we weren't making shots, and that's the hardest thing to do. When we've made shots, we've defended, and our energy's been great. And so this reflection period has given me a lot more hope than maybe just how I felt yesterday after watching the game and then watching the film and looking at it from a very, very definitely, I wasn't looking at it from a bird's eye view. I was definitely looking at it very, very, from 6 inches away or 3 inches away. And so I feel a lot better about it today, but just excited that our guys, I think that they still are trying to figure out a way to do it together as a group, and they still trust and believe in each other, and that gives me the most hope.
Yeah, Dusty, it's been almost 24 hours since the game, the logo incident. Just wondering, looking back on that, is there any regret as far as not maybe being aware of that tradition and informing your players about it? Or are you happy that, or that they literally stood their ground and were where they, should have been or could have been?
Remind me to answer that last part because I think there's a lot of layers to this. Number one, do I know the customs and traditions of any other Big Ten school? No, I don't, and won't know until I experience it. I don't watch Michigan State documentaries. I don't have a Sparty foam finger growing up, so I have no idea what they do. I know this, that the officials walked over and said that they have a tradition on senior night where their players kiss the logo as they're coming out of the floor. It's going to take some time. Great. That's awesome. These seniors deserve it. And on top of that, these guys earned a Big Ten championship. I have a lot of respect for what that team did this year. 17-3 in this league and battling the way they battled, I have a lot of respect for what that team did. Now, as far as what happened after that, from my perspective, I'm standing on the sideline, and keep in mind, Cohen Carr had just gotten a layup a couple minutes before on the last free throw. They missed a free throw. He sprints past us. They advance it. And so we had talked about being more alert on free throws. And so I think it's Pippins at the line, LJ and Fatter at half court. I think Frankie Fiddler comes out of the game, kisses the floor, hugs his teammates. This is a little bit fuzzy. This is all just off memory. This wasn't on the TV copy. No issues whatsoever. Kisses the floor, goes out, does his thing. I think maybe they're subbing in for another senior at that point, and our guys, Fat and LJ, are standing at the exact spot they were when Fiddler kissed the floor, not doing anything other than just standing there. And then out of the blue, they're still standing at half court, and the Michigan State player comes up and two-hand shoves them in the chest. Now, the Spartan logo is about a third of the court. The game is going on. I didn't know that this happened like during the game. And so if we needed to back them up to the other end or put all of our guys on an offensive, I don't know what we were supposed to do in that situation. I know that we had two freshmen standing at half court, and they're respectful, great dudes. And obviously, like I said, this was not the first person that came out and kissed the floor. We'd already agreed to the officials and whatnot. And so, yeah, that's my perspective on it. I'm very proud that our guys didn't retaliate in a different manner that could cost them playing in the Big Ten tournament. To have that self-restraint and self-discipline and realizing that they're representing Michigan the way they do. So I was very proud of that moment because that could have gotten really, really ugly.
Have you talked to the team about that? Have you gone over that incident? And what would you do next year?
Next year, I'd like to have the lead. Next year, I would say, hey, guys, move back 5 feet. I mean, once again, like, this is competition, man. We're playing a game, and our guys are standing at half court. Like, and once again, it wasn't as if Frankie Fiddler's coming out of the game, and it was just something happened during that. And this is a long period. You guys have the time. It is 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. They never moved. A player had already done it. So I mean, what I would tell them differently, like, keep your antennas up for whatever that behavior was. I'd ask them, hey, guys, move back 10 feet on defense because they're so fast in transition. I'm giving them credit for that as well. I tell our guys to move back 10 feet. But as far as knowing the positioning we're supposed to stand and things like that during Michigan State Senior Day, I wasn't aware. If Netflix, that's never popped up in my, what do you call it, queue. It's never popped up in my queue if it's Netflix or Prime or whatever the case. So, but once again, I don't think it was a big deal either. I mean, like I said, I was just proud of our guys to show the restraint that they did and not make it an issue that could cost them playing in the Big Ten tournament.
Dusty, before the year began, you talked about how you thought this team would improve more than most because of all the newcomers and new staff. At this point, do you feel like that's happened? And if not, maybe a victim of its own early success, as you were mentioning earlier?
I think we're a victim of what the scoreboard said at the end of the games.
Can you elaborate on that?
Would we go 3 of 24 from 3 yesterday? If we go 9 of 24 from 3 yesterday, we win the game. And are we a better basketball team because those shots went in? Yeah. Are we better than we were? Absolutely. We're much, much better. Is the competition and the opponent quality much greater? Without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking. I'm thinking about our players. How far Danny Wolf, Vlad Golden, Namari Burnett, defensively. Reuben Jones has just had a tough stretch where he's been injured or healthy since the day he came on campus, and up to this point, he was a very durable player. Always played through injuries at North Texas. Played a lot of games. Obviously, Roddy Gale. He's not been the same player he was earlier in the year. And I still believe in Roddy, and there's going to be some real bright moments for him. I told the story of Mike Forrest. I shared this with the team. Mike Forrest was with us our first year at FAU. He was a local kid, and we begged for him because he had the characteristics of a champion. We'd never seen him play live other than film, but we knew how hard he worked. We knew his reputation in South Florida, and we thought he would give us a little bit of credibility, and he had some really good options to go to other schools. We came in late and somehow convinced him to join us at FAU, and he was probably our most important piece for 4 years. Most consistent worker, did everything right. I mean, the kid is he's a 10 out of 10 in every facet. And his fifth-year senior year, and he got passed up by Davis and Martin and Boyd and some of those guys for minutes and whatever, and he struggled. I mean, he had a tough senior year, and something happened before the Tennessee game where he kind of found his groove and his rhythm. And we don't beat Tennessee to have the opportunity to go to the Elite Eight if he doesn't go off in the second half. Got one to go in, and you could see the light went, his eyes lit up. And literally, it was bang, bang, bang in a game where we couldn't score. So, me being the optimist, I believe it's part of being a basketball player. You're going to go through tough stretches. It's not always going to be butterflies and whatever the case. So, I believe that Roddy or one of those other guys, they have a Mike Forrest moment if they stay the course and they continue to believe and find that whatever it is in them that makes them special and unique.
You've had, 30-some-odd games of data. Why are you guys turning the ball over more than you would like when you look at it?
Yesterday, there was a few poor decisions in heightened, intense moments, and then I think we had 4 offensive fouls on illegal screens, where we haven't done that very often. I mean, I can't remember another game where we had 2 illegal screens in the same game, and we have been imploring our guys to be better screeners and whatnot. So, why? There's some things that I believe, but I don't think there's an easy answer to it.
Do you think Wolf was? I'm sorry. Wolf, the first time, he was good in the second half, but not so much in the first. Do you think he was pressing? What did you say to him at the half? You'd like to get him, obviously,
I don't think I had a message for Danny at the half, just from my view, and I haven't studied the numbers because even when the game's out, when the game's 20, Michigan State plays differently than they do when they're up 2 as well. So there's a lot of, it's not, you can't just look at a spreadsheet and draw a conclusion, but Danny Wolf, late games, last 5-minute games, second half, as the game goes on, his level of aggression and assertiveness changes, and these are just my eyes and film watching, and so why, I don't know why that is. I mean, it's a good thing because I'd much rather have that than the guy that's banging in threes the first 5 minutes of the game and in the last 5 minutes gets tight and can't perform. Danny he's done that most of the season. He's played really, really well late and down the stretch. And we lean on Danny. I do think that like the cumulative effect of those turnovers caused us to play more sped up and not as trusting of each other as we needed to be.
You talked about LJ earlier. He's obviously earned a lot more trust lately. How far has he come when it comes to defense, rebounding, those sorts of things that could keep him on the floor when things are going well?
He's made progress. He's gotten better. Is it at a championship level? No. I mean, he made a couple errors. He made a couple freshman mistakes, but he acknowledged them right away. They registered as soon as they happened, which is a good thing. Sometimes freshmen make a mistake and you correct them; they have no idea what you're talking about. So he acknowledged the mistake in real time immediately after it happened. And so that's where the experience comes in, where he's really, really close to eliminating a lot of those mistakes. But I think that's just when you check in a game, of that magnitude, and you guys saw the environment. Things are happening a little faster than practice, or a little faster than they were maybe even in pre-conference. So he's really, really close to eliminating a lot of those, but he brings some real unique things to our team that I think only he's provided at times.
We'll close with Charles, James, and then John.
Yeah, going off what you said about needing a little bit more from Roddy and Amari and Trey, how do you balance instilling confidence in them, but also making it clear that you need more from them going forward?
Making sure that they know that we believe in them and we haven't lost faith, and we know what type of players they are, and thinking back to the good moments, and just to stay fresh of what they were doing to help your team win, but also letting them know that, like, you don't have to come out and score 30 to help this team win. Just make a hustle play, get an offensive rebound, the Wisconsin game. A lot of people talk about the 4-5. That was the game where Vlad and Danny found a real rhythm together. And the thing that jumps out in our staff's minds are Roddy Gale's verticality late in that game to save a big, big basket. And those are the moments that you got to hang your hat on when the shot's not going in. There's so many ways in basketball to impact the game other than making shots and whatnot. So just letting those guys know that they have a big role in this team, and we believe in them, and we need them, because if they don't, then we're not going to play very much longer. And so our success is dependent upon them having a big role in this team.
Dusty, I think the Big Ten awards get announced tomorrow. I'm sure Danny and Vlad both are deserving of recognition. Can you just speak to the impact they've had on winning this season?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, and I don't know, do they look at conference stats or conference production, or is it overall production? I don't even know. It's both, okay. When you look at Vlad's Big Ten conference production, at 19 and whatever it is, 7 or 8 rebounds, and whatever the case, it's incredibly impressive. And then the same with Danny when you look at the double-doubles. And so I'd be shocked if those guys didn't walk away with some nice awards, and especially, I think we're tied for second with Maryland. Maybe is it just 2 teams tied for second? So I think we're 3 seed. So for a team that finishes in the top of the standings and playing such meaningful games all the way to the final week, I can't imagine those guys aren't rewarded accordingly. I think there's a media poll and a coach's poll, so I'm excited to see those guys, get the rewards that they deserve.
And then going back to Charles, kind of building up what he asked, I guess there's the narrative that teams rise and fall with guard play in the tournament time. I guess, are you a believer in that? And I guess just how do you get the most?
I mean, it's one of the great cliches of sports. I think teams rise and fall with good play. I think back to the best runs I've been on. There have been games when the big men had monster games, and there are games when the guards took over. But playing good, solid team basketball and on the floor, whether it's your point guard or your power forward, just getting really good, sound leadership on the court is important this time of year. So I don't want to put that pressure on. If we lose, it's because of our guards. If we win, it's because of our guards. We need to play much better as a unit, and if we keep advancing and play many more games, it's going to be because we had good guard play and we had good play up front.
You've been without Sam for a decent bit now. What have you found yourself missing from what he gives you, and how effective do you think you've been replacing that?
Sam, I mean, even look at Rutgers on the road. Just his ability to stretch the floor, his ability to be a threat and have to be accounted for at all times. And then that's not even taking into account his ability to bang in 2 or 3 straight threes to separate. I mean, even earlier in the year when we had some games with margins, when we go back and look at the clips from those games, a lot of them, Sam was a big part of the separation, going from 12 to 20 quickly or whatever the case. And so, and then obviously the minutes, the wear and tear. Will Cheddar's in foul trouble yesterday, so now you're basically playing Vlad and Danny until the wheels fall off without a break, and Michigan State's running in 4 or 5 different big combinations, so they're going against a fresh body at all times, and so without Sam, we don't have that 3-4 backup position that stretches the floor, makes shots, and Sam had become a pretty sound defender. I mean, part of it was his reputation coming into it. They went at him. They when they got the switch, they went at him, and credit him for making the improvements where they weren't very efficient going at him, and his rebounding was getting better, and so yeah, that's been a loss, but I'll stick to every team has had illnesses and injuries and whatever the case, and we're going to coach the team that's playing.